welcome everybody. We are live again on Thursday. Hi Lionel. Yep. So live on Thursday, we do 2 office hours every week at Draftbit on Tuesday and Thursday. The Thursday one is usually me, and on Tuesday. You usually have the pleasure to talk to Rahul and Dave. I can't speak English today. I don't know why. Sorry about that. I hope it gets better with the flow of the live stream. You see Carl. Hey, Carl. Few folks today. Appreciate that. Art, Mohan, I believe I saw in there. And Rahul. All right. So I did wear button-down shirt. I said I would, so I'm doing it just for you guys. Let me. I'm checking out tweets to see if the notification went out. Okay, everything worked out. Sweet. So we're gonna get started. Greetings, Art. Good to see you. I'm not sure I've seen you in a couple of weeks. Maybe that was just me. I was out last week. I got sick. I got exposed to COVID. I tested positive myself. That's why I was out. But hopefully Dave and Rahul covered for me. Really appreciate that. Thank you, guys. And with that said, so typically what we do is we answer a question live that you might have. So there's a ask a question button. Click on it. Ask a question. In the absence of question, we go to community.draftbit.com and we answer every question that have been posted there. That's pretty much it. So with that said, let's get started. You know, I wish I should record the timestamp when we jump. I guess that's what the start answering is. Anyway, I was trying to make my life easier for when we publish those videos after the fact. For those who don't know, we do record all those videos and we publish them. And actually, that's kind of an interesting thing to mention very quick. If you go to the Draftbit page on YouTube, there is a playlist that is called Office Hour. I don't know if we often mention that, but it's good to know because that is a collection of all the office hours. And as you can see here, Dave and Rahul did a great job chaptering it. So we break it down into the different chapter, which means the different questions that you might have been asking. So I try to do the same. So if you look at mine from last week, see there is you can know what we've been talking about. So we use those links to share specific answer to people, but feel free to go back and check out what those chapters are. Hopefully it gives you a good amount of answers already if you're looking for something. I don't know if you can search for it. That would be good to maybe breaking down into things you can search. Anyway, different things. That's all. All right. Starting. So where are chapters? Where are chapters? Oh, Mohan. So if you all right, Draftbit. If you look at a specific video, so I'm going to go back to that playlist. Chapters appear in a couple of places. First, in the timeline of the video, you can see the little text, Carl's issues, typography, setting and updating. You can see that text. And then, poof, it switched to another quote-unquote chapter, demo of improvement to JSON data handling, and then another one. You can also just open it up here. So now you see all the chapters. So everything I just mentioned, in this case, there's 4 chapters, I believe. And you can see them all in the description with the link to the specific timestamps. You can click on it and it's going to start at the right place in the video. So that's where chapters are. Does that help? Oh, jeez. I didn't share my screen. I'm so sorry, you guys. Sorry, Ray. Sorry, Mohan. Just... Jeez, I need a coffee. I only have 1 coffee today. I'm really sorry about that. So Windows, where am I? Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. This one. I also have just 1 monitor today. So hopefully Yeah, so I was just saying, sorry again about that. It'll be a good video to know how to use Office Hour. Tell me more about that, Ray. I don't disagree, but I kind of want to know what you mean by that. So to answer Ryan's question, the chapters, again, they are here in the timeline. Let me double check. You can see, yeah, so you can see that little text. They also, when you click on here, they show up on the right-hand side. So originally it's like this. So let me pick one of mine, for example. So they show up in the timeline. See, like here's passing data between screen. And then you can click here, view chapters. And now instead of seeing the other videos, I'm seeing all the chapters one by one. And I can click on one specific one. And then I can also see them in the description here with the specific link. So that's what I was just showing. So hopefully that helped. Yeah, Ray, feel free to let me know. I mean, this which you're about to do, how to use the video to get your answer, and maybe you're going to post them in community to get direct link to. Yeah, exactly. So for those who are not familiar, we then go back. Let me see. Which one? Like this one is a good one we did last week. So we answered the question. The question was not answered. We answered it, recorded like the officer, posted it online, and then I went back in the forum and posted the specific response. So that's actually the video at the specific timestamp where we talk about that specific question and do a little demo. So we try to like recycle content like this. Oh, geez, I'm again not sharing my screen. Please, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna close this. Sorry, one more sec. So I'll get it right eventually. Okay, so I was just saying this, for example, was a question we had last week. We answered during office hour, and then we chaptered it, and then we shared the specific chapter for that question here. So that actually started the specific timestamp. See, like right here, building a shopping cart app. And so that's why I meant like we try to recycle our content. So we do it office hour, and then we put it. So the best way, I mean, we encourage you to ask a question live here, but the best way is really put it in community.draftbit.com in the ask for help, because that way everybody can see it and we can post a response somewhere. If you ask something here, the response is still going to be in the video, but it's not going to be reposted on the forum. Yeah. Do you post a question topic yourself? So Ray, the question is, do you post a question or topic yourself on the forum? So no, meaning if someone asks a question, I go back and I put the video there, and Dave and Roy will do the same. But if someone asks here, I don't, I agree that would be good, but I don't typically create a question and put the answer. When I try, what I would do is sometimes like tie that up in a bigger announcement, so like a bigger release announcement. But yeah, you're right. I completely agree. That would be the right way to do it. Just post a question that we've heard that are not necessarily in the ask for help section and put the answer there. Yeah. Yeah, actually, maybe it's not that difficult to do. All right, it's a little overhead, but I think it's valuable for the community. So it's a good suggestion. Thank you, Ray. Did I miss anything else? Cool. All right. I think that's all. We can get started. So, talking about that, Mohan, I believe that's Mohan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just looking at the. Yes, that's just looking at the logo. Ask a question in the Ask for Help page. So we're going to take a look at this. I think he posted it right as a response to my announcement for the office hour. So here's the question. You guys can see it? Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. Topic I would like covered today is if possible, authenticated session management. Okay. I would be interested in finding out how, regardless of what package platform we use for authentication, how we would handle when a session expires, send the user to the relogging screen. For example, in Firebase, there is a notion of ID token and refresh token. The refresh token is used to fetch the ID token. The ID token usually expire approximately after an hour. I would imagine Xano might provide something similar from some similar notion Here's the guideline behind the token for taken a short while lived. I don't know if you will want to like make you people re-log in every hour. Like I'm thinking of, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Correct me if I'm misunderstanding something, but I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm thinking of the app I use, like Uber and all that. I actually don't want to ever re-log. It's very rare that I want to log out of those apps. So anyway, maybe it's a different discussion. Refresh token expire only when one of the following occur. The user is deleted, the user is disabled. Okay. So refresh token only expire, that's good. So what is the first one then? Token has short leave and lasts for 1 hour. ID token. Refresh token can be used to retrieve new. Okay, so it's kind of transparent. You're getting new ID token. Okay, that makes sense. You're not logged out. Cool. The issue is that in screens where we need to be a valid session, we can check a global variable that indicates a user is logged in or not. But how do we set the variable? Should we call the logging function or any screen which expect a valid session? Should we call this on the screen, focusing stored credential to see the session is still valid? But it's best practice. I'm almost there, guys. Sorry, I know it's not great to see me read, but I suppose another approach is to do server cycle where if the server expects an active session, but does not find one. The challenge is to do these tests and action currently. Okay. I will most likely have to have a custom function to do message tests. Okay. So it's a good question. Yeah. I feel like we've covered that before. And I mean, like I've discussed that, but I'm trying to remember, is that in a way that is accessible right now? If not, we're just going to redo it. Yeah. You know what? We might redo it. That'd be good. That's why I need a better. Sorry, I'm making a side note. I need a way to know all those office hour stuff. Because it's the second time now that happened last time, if you watch the video, where I feel like I've already answered that question, but I can't easily figure it out. Okay. That's a problem for Draftbit. Sorry, guys. So let's do it. Let's get started. That's what we do at Office Hour. If we don't have the answer, meaning if we don't already have an existing answer, we just show it to you. Hours, the 21st. All right. So there's a couple of ways to go about it. Let me think through it. I'm going to do authentication with Xano, just because it's the one I'm the most comfortable with and the one I personally recommend. But there's two things. There's the auth token that we're going to get that needs to be valid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check, do I have an auth token? If I do have an auth token, that's one thing. If I don't have one, I need to go to the login screen. Now, if I do have one, I need to make sure that it's not too old and not expired. And for that, oh yeah, here's how I'm going to do it. So we save in the Draftbit app the auth token that we get from a login to Xano. So this is saved. So what we want to do is when the app loads, we want to first of all make sure, do we have a saved auth token? Because if we don't even have one, like that means we didn't even log in the past. So we're going to redirect you to login. If we do have one, it's not enough because it might be expired. So then first time I do a call with it, I'm going to get an error message. So when I do have one on screen focus, I can do a call to Xano to make sure that auth token is still valid. And maybe there's a third step where I want to make sure I have an auth token, make sure it's still valid, and make sure it didn't expire. And maybe I can have in Draftbit app like some kind of logic that says it's only valid for 3 days. But I'm a little skeptical in having that logic in the client. I almost feel like that logic should be handled by the backend. Meaning, if my thing is supposed to be expired, then when I make that call to make sure the token is valid, that should just return something wrong, like false. What do you guys think? I see you commenting. Basically, yeah, I could inspect the auth token for its explicit claim and or react to a 400 from the authentication. Yeah, that's his expiration. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I suppose if you do an app open, then it should be current and makeover. I suppose if you do it on open app, then it should be current. Right. I mean, so what I was trying to do is already trying to optimize a little bit. Like the non-performing way to do it is every time you load the app, you make a call to the backend and just check the token. But that's a little. This is not the battle. Anyway, let me get started, and feel free to keep the suggestion coming, and we'll see if we align in the end. So I'm gonna have a logging screen. I'm gonna have a home screen. Oh, I can type. I'm not gonna do sign up, and actually it's gonna be welcome. And then it's going to be it's not going to be so welcome login. What else do we need? So welcome is where I'm going to do the logic, like do I have a token or not? Login. Right. Sorry guys, give me just 1 sec. I need to sorry, I had a little something at home. I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't want to end the live stream. All right, give me 1 sec. Wait, seems like you want to do this implicitly since you don't have that much control over app lifecycle because of sleep and what have you. Implicitly. Not sure what you mean by implicit. Anyway, let me get started. It's too much talk. I should just do it. Too much talk from me. Sorry, I don't mean that from you guys. All right, text input, text input, sorry. Name, password, and button. Password and button, login. Sorry, I'm a little slow. Apologize again. I do need a coffee. I'm going to create a screen variable that I'm going to call logging name. It's going to be a string with no initial value. Save that. And then for this one, I'm going to create another screen variable that I'm going to call logging password. That's also a string. Okay. I'm going to create a little Xano quick authentication. I want to pick up my pace here a little bit. I'm a little slow. I apologize for that. I think I might have already. Do I have a user? I think I might already have a user here. Yeah, so email, password. I'm going to now use the API. Do I have no testing point? Okay, so I have the auth login. Do I have one for user? I don't want to add in API. CRUD. Oh, wait. Yeah, login. Oh, jeez. Which one is it? I'm trying to, I try to like not create a brand new workspace and work. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a sec, guys. I don't want to expose some of those names. That's why. So there's uppercase user, and then I have lowercase user. I'm almost there. I'm just setting up Xano essentially here quick. April 21st. I'm going to save that. I'm going to add a CRUD endpoint to doesn't really matter. Auth with login from okay, last one. I need 2 endpoints, both auth. Okay, so let me share my screen again. And actually, right before I do that, I'm going to create one fake user. That way, name is going to be my name. Password is going to be my password, and password is going to be test 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, guys, you remember that? Okay. Did it work out? Nope. There, I made one typo. Test 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now if we don't, oh jeez, I think I made not to self. Need more coffee. Okay, so right before I turn it on back with you guys, I'm gonna where did my officer login, preview, debug. Jeez, what did I do? Email, password, what did I do? Sorry, almost there. I know this is not fun. So essentially, I have a fake database. Well, not so much fake. Did I make a typo in that thing? I think I might know what's going on. Okay, now let me try this. Just spending 2 minutes to create a backend so I can try things out. Okay, cool. It works. I'm going to reshare my video now. Here we go. Yeah, sorry, I knew you could not see my screen. I was actually, this is fine, this is okay. I didn't want to show you, so I have a database here that is user. I just didn't want to show the content of it. I'm reusing a backend I use for the stuff, just to hopefully make things a little faster. But anyway, so I'm using Xano. I've created think of it as like a workspace, starting from scratch here a little bit. And I have 2 endpoints. One is to log in, and the other one is to get auth information about myself. So I'm going to first create that endpoint into Draftbit. So I'm going to call it user. It's going to be the Xano thing. Here we go. That's the link. Yeah, officer. April 21st in Xano. Okay, so that's kind of my workspace kind of thing. Now I have login actually, which is going to be a login function. And the way it works is going to be auth/login. I'm going pretty fast for those because we cover a lot of what to do here. It's a post request. I should have mentioned that. It's the object type is a user. And in the body, I've tried it with Xano here, so I can run This is my fake user. So I'm going to save that actually. I'm going to run the test. It's returning an auth token. So here, what I need to do is put that into variables, which I'm going to do here, email and password. And now I can just reuse those same just to test it. And I should be getting an auth token from Zano. Let's try it again. Okay, auth token. Remember the format. It's like an object or a dictionary with auth token with uppercase T, because we're going to reuse that to extract that key later on. I'm going to save this. Okay, and I'm going to, when I'm here, I'm going to create another endpoint, which is a get call to get information about myself. And I didn't mention that, but like Xano actually lets you do all of that automatically. So once you have an auth, a user table, I should even say, you can add an endpoint and they let you pick authentication and let you pick one of those 3 existing built-in endpoint: login, sign up, and me, which is really convenient to get started with authentication with Xano. So here it is. So that's how to get information about myself. Note that this one, to get information about my authenticated user, I need to pass it the information, right? So I need to pass it authorization with bearer and the name of, I'm going to get it again, the auth token. And I'll show you here. We can just test that it works. Oh, bearer, here we go. And that should hopefully works. Okay, that works. See, that's me. That's information about myself. I'm going to save that. And before I do little parentheses, that's kind of where I meant, like, I should probably put the information about when the token expires here. Like when I get information about myself, I do authenticate user just to see if it's expired. That way, the logic is not on my client. So if, for example, one day I have an issue and I want to expire everybody's token, I can do it in the back end. I don't have to wait for the front end to wait like 7 days or whatever. I'm not sure that's best practice. It sounds good to me, but maybe there are better best practice. So feel free to chime in. Okay, so I have those. Oh, one thing I didn't do, that auth token, I hard coded it, and we don't want to do that. What we want it to be is a device variable. A device variable is a variable that's going to use async storage. It's going to stay on your device. So when you close the app, open it up again, it's still going to be there. So typically, it's perfect for auth token. Close the app, you open it back up, and you can reuse that. Revocation should be done on backend on change of policy. Right. That's what I think too. If I'm reading your thing correctly. What was I saying? Yeah, so the variable, this should be, sorry, it's all crying in the background. So this is what you're going to want to, I'm putting that value to test it, but this is the device variable that you're going to want to update as you log in. So next time when you do an authenticated call, like the auth/me, it's going to use that for the header. Okay, so I can give it a better name. I can call it Xano authorization header. All right. I can close this, and in my endpoint, instead of for that auth me, which is supposed to be, if you look here, this one, the auth me needs to be authenticated, where the login, everybody can try to log in, right? So for the auth me, you do need to pass it in a header, and that's what it looks like. And instead of that hard-coded thing that I put for the test, I'm going to use the variable I just created, because that way I can change that variable. It's not something that's static. Try that. Okay, it worked. Excellent. I'm going to save it. So now I want my login. I'm going to do the login first. I want my login on press of the button. I want to do an API request to that Xano service, to the logging endpoint. and I'm going to pass it logging. Did I call it logging name? Why did I call it logging name? That was a bad name for it. I did call it logging name. It should be, oh no, I guess it should have been logging username. That's fine. That's fine. I'm being picky with myself. Okay, so logging name and logging password. Okay. Now that's going to return that JSON object, right? When it's successful. I'm not going to cover the case where you get error message, but you can. And the way you do that is having conditional stop. So you'll extract the key of what an error message should be. It's typically, in the case of Xano, it's like error. And if it exists, then you stop. You don't go any further, or maybe you do another action. And if it's not there, that means there is no error, then you can continue. Anyway, in my case, I'm going to keep it very simple. Or did I want to give the response at API a name so I can use something. I can do something about it. So this is the Xano auth response. Okay, sweet. And now in the extract key, I'm going to pass it the Xano auth response, and I'm going to say kind of the path is auth token. Okay, and now this is Xano auth token. Okay, and now I want to save. Oh, well, I want to do, yeah, I want to save that to the variable, right? The Xano auth token. Exactly. I do want to transform it with that little thing you have to know. The bear prefix, you know, there's always a bear word at the beginning. So you got to do that just so it looks, it creates the right header. Okay, so now I've essentially done this. And when I log in, I want to get to the home screen, right? That's going to be my final destination. Okay, so log in, going back to that button. The last action is navigate to home. Again, I didn't do anything to do error messaging or handling error, but know that you can do that. So Ray asked, device variable go into persistent storage, but app variable adjust in volatile memory. Yes, essentially, volatile is a little vague term, at least for me. But another way to phrase, I think you and I talking about the same thing, but another way to think of it is a variable. So your app variable, every time you launch the app, is going to reset to whatever value you put in there. So you want to use that for like your Airtable API token, for example. Like a lot of API token, API keys go in there. It's almost like some platform call it your secret. It's the one thing that does not really change over time. Like you might update your API key at some point, but it's pretty rare. Most of the time, session after session is the same value. We don't prevent you from editing it, so you can change it. But again, it's going to reset to the right value every time. Like I don't see, you should not be changing it, I guess is my point. Or if you do, I'm curious to know why you were trying to do. Device is something that you can only change, but it's going to keep that change over time. Every time you close and relaunch the app, it's going to preserve that value. Screen variable is more like a local variable that you use to do some logic. Like you want to increment a counter by 1, whatever. That would be your screen variable. All right, so hopefully that's enough. Let me test that logging screen first, see if we do get redirected to home. What's a good example of something that should be in an app variable but not in device variable? So your Airtable API key is a good example. If you have like a Google Map API key, that would be in your app variable. Xano works in a way that there is no key necessary to call it. So unless your endpoint require authentication, even then, like you need to be authenticated, but it doesn't require a key to just talk to the service. A lot of services out there require that you communicate to them with an API key, and Airtable is a good example of that. Every time you have to you contact Airtable, you have to pass it the API key. And this is not specific to the user, which is different from what we're doing here with Xano. That auth token I just saved in a device variable is going to be different for every user. That's why we want it to be specific and stay the same for each user. So it's a little different. One is like as a service, as an app, you're talking to a third party. And the other one is as the user of an app, I'm talking to a third party. So this one's going to be a device variable because you want it specific and you want it to persist over time. And the first one, it's going to be for everybody. It's going to be the same thing, and it's going to reset, and it's okay because it doesn't really change. All right. Mohan says, Xano, once you're logged in, can you have backend call check for authorized user? Yes. So the way, so just to answer Mohan, that's what that auth me is. That auth me is just me passing a authorization header to get information about myself. So that means you need to be authenticated, and I can check if my token is valid. Like if I get a correct response from that endpoint from auth me, means I am, as a user of the app, I'm authenticated properly. And if you add other calls or other endpoint, you can decide to make them specifically authenticated. Like you can decide to make them for authenticated user only or open to all. So the logging here, you can see if I click on it, it says it's a public endpoint. Everybody can try to log in. The auth me is an authentication required endpoint. So you need to pass it the header. Hopefully that answers the question. And Ray says, got it. The app variable is a constant available for every user who download the app. Yeah. And a device variable is global to the instance of the app, but not shared with any other user. Yeah. Yeah. That's essentially true. The reason, like it's true for all intended purposes. The only reason I'm thinking is that from a technical point of view, they're kind of the same, meaning you can update them. So if you do update, if a user were to update, I'm going to confuse you more than anything else, but just you can ignore that if you're not interested in the technicality of it. But as a user, you can update an app variable, and then that variable is going to be unique to you until you reload the app. And in that case, it's not going to be shared with everybody because you've changed it. But again, there's no real reason. That's not the use case. That's not how you want to do it. So I think you nailed it. Like the app variable is something you're not going to edit. It's something every user is gonna get the same value out of it. Hopefully I didn't make it worse. Cool. So, and Mohan asks again, is this auth me call by client or will the backend call do it? This is the client calling the backend. So in Xano, like those are like endpoints that are offered by my backend to my client. So my client, as a client, my Draftbit app can make those calls to those endpoints. That's why here I added them. This is a service. This is my Xano service, and those are the endpoints. So see, I already added 2. I happen to only have 2, but I could have like 15. I could have one to get items. I could have one to have for like a shopping cart. Pictures, photo, comments, whatever it is that connects to my database. And here in Draftbit, you have to specify the endpoint that you're going to be calling. Okay, so where am I with all that? I'm previewing, right? So I think I want to preview that this works. Oh, I should obviously turn that into a password field, but at least that for testing purposes, I can make sure that I'm not making any typos. And when I click login, I'm being taken to the home screen. So you can even see the action stack here. I made the call to the logging. So I called this endpoint with a password and a username. I extract the key from the auth token that I received from Xano. I save that auth token in a device variable. So when I close the app, reload it, it's still going to be that. So, and that's how I'm identified as a user. And then I navigate it to my home screen. Now, on my home screen, well, I'll talk about that. First, I'm going to start with, now that we know the login, every time I load the app, I'm not going to be redirected to the login screen. I'm going to be redirected to a welcome screen at first. And so the welcome screen, there's a couple of things I wanted to do. The first one is on-screen focus. And by the way, as a quick note, what I'm going to do is make sure that the apps start on the welcome screen. Okay. So now everything starts on the welcome screen. When that screen loads, I want to tell it that I want to tell it that if there is no authorization header that exists, then I need to be redirected to the login screen. If there is one, I need to be redirected to the home screen. And I know that's not enough. In the home screen, I still need to make sure that authorization header is valid, but that's going to be second step. First step is if there is none, login. If there is one, home screen. And the way I'm going to do that is actually, maybe I'll do. So the only issue I have with that is with that kind of design of what I just explained is in Draftbit, in terms of branching for logic, we only have one option. We have conditional stop. So you can run this action. It's going to say if this value is online, for example, is true, you're going to stop. You're going to stop your execution of that stack. And if it's not true, if it's false, you're going to continue the execution of that stack. So typically what I would want to do is if it doesn't exist, stay where you are. And if it does exist, redirect to home. But that means that the stay where you are, I don't have because it's linear, I don't have the option to run another action that to say, and then go to the logging screen. So what I'm going to do instead of having a welcome screen, here's what I'm going to do. I'm changing my plan a little bit. I'm not going to have a welcome screen. I'm going to have a logging screen. And that's where I'm going to change my root navigator. Everything is going to start from the logging screen. Stay with me. I'm going to explain. When the screen loads, if there is, if Xano authorization header is not there, then you're going to stop and stay on the logging screen. And that's how I'm going to handle that logic. So let me do it again. If the Xano authorization header, I negate it because like it's going to be there when it works. So I want to stop when it's not there. So I'm just essentially, it's a Boolean value. So I'm just negating it. So if there is no value, you stay there. You stay on the logging screen. And if there is a value, it's going to be true, you're going to negate it, it's going to be false, so it's going to essentially continue. Then navigate to the home screen. Okay, so that's my logic. So if it's there, go to home screen. If it's not there, stay on the login screen. Okay, I'm going to preview that. My assumption is because I have a default value in that header that it should essentially as if it's there. So it should be redirecting me to the home screen, but we're going to check that. And it did. So I'm in the logging screen, I'm previewing it, and I got redirected without really noticing it to the home page. Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah, I agree. So Mohan is saying it would be nice to do something on condition success. Yes, it would be nice to to branch out. I agree with you. That'd be way more powerful. Like if it's true, do this, and if it's false, do this. Because then you could have a welcome screen, and if it's true, go log in. If it's false, home, or whatever direction it is. Does this cause the login screen to always render first? It does, because I set it up that way. So in Navigate, that's where you define your navigator for your entire app. I have a root navigator, and I have the option to tell it which screen to load at first. So in my case, my initial route is login. So everything in this example, at least, you don't have to do it this way, but in this example, everything is going to start as a login. And when that screen focuses, then I'm going to run some logic to figure out if I should bypass it. So in my case, I'm bypassing it. I'm getting to the home screen. And what I want to do here is make sure, because so far I haven't really made any call to the backend, and just make sure, like, locally, do I have a token? But like, what if that token is not valid anymore? Or what if, even, to be honest, for some reason, I don't know how you do that, but for some reason, someone faked a token as a client. You don't really have control over what people can do on the client side. So on the home, what I'm going to do is on-screen focus. I'm going to do an API request to that same Xano backend, but not to the logging endpoint, to the me endpoint. Right. Now, what does the me endpoint gives us? Let's try and run that. So this is what it gives me. Okay, that's what the me returns. So Xano me response. Okay. So in this case, if I have, how should I even do it? Because if I'm returning something with the token that is not valid, we can try that. Let's say I provided like a wrong token. Actually, Xano does such a good job that it's not showing me what it's going to be like. It just refuses to run it, which is clever. But maybe a way I'll do it is that if there is a handle, it should be fine. So I'm getting this. I'm going to extract the key. So Xano me response pass handle. Okay, handle result name is going to be Xano me handle. Okay. And if there is a handle, then I stop. So I'm actually going to negate it. So if it's, no, I don't negate it. So if there is a handle, if it's true, I stop, and that's it. We see on the screen. I've confirmed with my backend that auth me response is valid, and I'm getting a response back that is correct. I'm getting that handle back. It could be anything else than handle, but essentially it did not return error. And so if that's the case, I'm going to stop there and stay on my home screen. If it's not the case, so if I'm not getting a handle, then I'm going to do two things. First, I'm going to set the variable to that authorization. Well, which one is it? The authorization header. I'm going to set it back to an empty value. Okay. So I'm going to erase the value I had locally of my auth token. Am I doing that right? Yes, I think I am. Okay. And then I'm going to redirect the user navigate to login. Okay, so now I'm going to essentially erase what I have locally and reforce the user to login. Does that make sense? I have kind of handled conditional branching in my last tutorial using set timeout and conditional stop. If you want to check, oh, geez, Ahmed, you're so good. How did I not mention that before? Multiple conditional navigation. Yes. Yes, you did it all already. Why am I wasting everybody's time? I forgot about it. I knew we had covered it. I forgot we had this tutorial. I'm very sorry. Yeah, so although interestingly, you did I'm trying to figure out why did you have to use some code about it. Is that because you want to branch out to different locations as opposed to what I'm doing with the starting off with the logging screen? Like, we'll figure it out. Oh, sorry. Again, I'm using the wrong. This is a tutorial that he's talking about. Highly recommend you check it out. It goes into much detail. Ahmed did a great job. I was just questioning, why do we have to do low code in this case? Because I believe, we'll see how far I can go, but I believe there's a way to do it mostly with no code at all. But let me finish it and we'll see if that's correct. Okay, so if I were preview on the home screen, I'm going to assume that the first time it's going to work out, because it's going to do the auth me response, and it's going to get something back. So it's going to stop. That's my hope. Let's try it. That's it. So you get to the home page. So now I can even preview. So we can start from login. Login redirects you to home, and home, stay at home. So I know it's not much, but it all shows that on the login page, I'm making sure I have everything locally, and I do, so I'm redirecting the user to home. And then on the home page, I'm making sure this is actually a valid token by calling the backend. And if it is, which it is in this case, I'm staying at home. So it does exactly what we want. How do we test the negative use case? So how do we test that if the token is not valid anymore? So for that, how am I going to do it? I'm going to go and change the email that way it won't be valid. I'm going to do that. I'm going to close my screen for a sec, and I'm going to go change my email so it won't be this one. And then we're going to start from the logging page, which should still work because locally I do have the token, but when I get to the home, it should not work. I should get an error. It should redirect me to the login screen. So let's give that a try. Yeah, I'm going to start the login screen here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just 1 sec, you guys. I'm going to go back to my database, to the user table, and instead of that email, I'm going to call it, I'm going to make a typo. I'm going to do it Draftbit. Okay, let's see if that works. I'm going to share my screen again. Here it is. Okay, so now let's try again. Login screen. Let me refresh. Maybe I didn't update everything. Login screen, I'm going to preview that. So I'm being taken to the home. Now the home will debug it together. I was expecting that let's debug it together. So log to console, auth me response. This is what we're going to use. I'm going to bring it up. So, the auth me is still working, even though, yeah. Sorry, it doesn't matter if the login won't work, but the token is still valid. So let me, I guess you can see those information. Actually not that personal. And what I want in here is probably to have, I probably want to have a column that says is valid or expires. Yeah, like expires at. And then instead of checking everything with handle, I should check everything with that expires. Oh, that's a much better way to do it. Yeah. So in my case, I'm going to simulate that by just removing stuff from the handle. Let's see if that works, because I hope the empty string is not going to just work. So let's try it out. Here we go. So it worked. I got redirected to my login screen because my home screen on focus, made that call to the backend, to that me endpoint with the token that I had locally. It did receive information about that user, but so first of all, if the auth token had been wrong, that would have returned false, which is what we want. In this case, it's not so much that the auth token is wrong, so the call did work, but we have a field in our user database that should say expires at and with specific date, and then get that information in the client, and then check the date, or maybe even in the backend, like if the date is, you can do the check on the backend side or return an error if the date is passed. In our case, we fake that by just returning false or an empty string in the handle field, and in our logic, if there is no handle, which is the equivalent of if there has been an error, well, if there is no error, you stop here, so you stay on the home screen. Otherwise, you reset the variable you have locally, and you redirect people to the logging screen so they can log in again. So now, I can even if I put something here, I can retest it. Draftbit. Now I should be able to get to home. Exactly. So now it worked because in the backend, I did the equivalent of resetting my token. Okay. I mean, is that okay? Did I needed, so Ahmed says he needed code for branching. So Ahmed's approach is almost more sophisticated in a good way. Like you actually have branching. Like you have, I don't remember in detail, so correct me if I'm wrong, Ahmed, but you have what I started to do, which is that welcome screen, and then maybe go to login or maybe go to home. So for that, you need a little bit of logic. What I did by using my logging screen as my welcome screen is I was able to do it without writing code. Okay, Mohan asked, in Xano, is the object associated with auth.me available to other method? So tests can be done on backend. Can they check handled field? I'm not sure I understand the question. The object associated with auth.me, so that's me, that's the user, right? Is it available to other method? So for other method, you're going to want to, I'm not sure I understand the question fully. So here's an example. Like here's another, that's a bad example. Sorry. Here, I have another, project, another backend, and some of those calls, well, all of those are public, but some of those, like this one, this one to delete a comment. This is your typical like Instagram, Twitter feed. To delete a comment, you need to be authenticated. So in order to make that call, I need to pass the auth token that I received from my login call. And you can see it when I test it in Xano, it's passing the auth token. If I don't do it, it's going to return an error. It's not going to work. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure I understand what you mean otherwise. Ray says, Xano will return an error if you use an invalid auth token. Right. So if there is no auth token, you return an error. If it's an invalid auth token, you return an error. So all of those are kind of built in, which is very convenient. The case that we just did is if it exists, like if there is one, if it's valid, but you want to expire it, that's why you want to yourself add that field in your user table that says expires on or expires at. So if you have other services, can they check the auth.me object? By other services, I hope you mean endpoints. Otherwise, what do you mean by services? And if the answer is endpoint, yeah, they can. But it's the authentication in Xano is built in, so you will not have to do a call to auth.me. You'll use the built-in authentication, if that makes sense. Can you make some of the code block you have in Xano accessible to us? You answered. Okay, you already. Okay, cool. Sure. Which part of so going back to my example here, there is not, tell me what you want to share. Those are built in. Like I didn't write those. So this is how Xano does it. There's a function stack. It was actually built in. So what I did is that it was empty at first. I clicked add API endpoint, authentication, and I click this. I can show you the example with sign up because I haven't added it yet. So if you want to do sign up too, you click on it, you tell it which database to use as your user database. In that case, in my case, that's the one I use. You can change names and all. You save it, and that's it. It's created for you. You can tweak it if you know what you're doing, but at the very minimum, that's it. I have now a way to sign up to create a new user. I can run and debug that, and so you can pass it your name. You can say Moana driving. I hope I'm spelling your first name right. Apologies if that's not the case. And that's it. I've now created a user. It's in my database. We can go have a look. It's going to be here. That's it. Here you are. And so that's it. I didn't write any of the code that Xano used to do that. I just added the endpoint. Hopefully that helps. This is great. I have to hop up next. Thank you, Ray. It was great seeing you. Thank you for doing this. It's a real service. I appreciate that. Ahmed says, yeah, that was the use case. Validate auth on true, continue on false, navigate. So there were two different direction. Validate onboarding status. Okay. So I think that's, I'll double check that after, but I think that's mostly it. And that's it. So that's how you do it. I'm trying to think if we've covered everything. Yeah, the login, the home, that redirects you to login if the token is not valid. Hopefully that's enough. I think we are at time, so I didn't have time to answer a couple of questions. Sorry about that, Mohan. I know you had another question. And unfortunately, I do have a hard stop this time. I usually can go longer, but not today. So feel free to ask that question in the community, in community.draftbit.com. Here's the link. I'll show you on the screen. The Ask for Help section. Ask a question there. We'll all answer it synchronously, and if not, during office hour on Tuesday and next Thursday for myself. And that's it. With that said, folks, thank you very much. Have a great Thursday. And yeah, thank you. Bye, guys. I see you guys in the chat. All right, have a good one.